Hi, this video contains an introduction to Modbus2mqtt. Modbus2mqtt is an application which transfers data from Modbus to MQTT and vice versa. It can be used to integrate Modbus data to smart home systems. The next part of the video will explain this in more detail. What can Modbus2mqtt do for you? Let's assume you have a heat pump and you have a smart home system and you want to connect them. So if your heat pump has a Modbus interface, you can not only configure heat pumps but any other Modbus device which is available. Let's assume your smart home system is connected to an MQTT server. You can use Modbus2mqtt to connect the devices with your smart home system. Type of device, for example, can be a Dimplex heat pump, or it can be an e-stron energy meter or a water level transmitter, or whatever you want. There are pre-configured configurations available, and if the data of the Modbus slaves matches the specification will automatically be used and immediately start transferring data. The next video will show how this works. What do you need to use Modbus2mqtt? First of all, the Modbus device must be attached to the Modbus controller. Next, the Modbus controller must be plugged in and configured. That's the hardware side. You need to know the slave ID of the device. In my case, it's 3. It can be configured in most of the devices. If there's already a specification for the device, then that's all. I'd like to show you how Modbus2mqtt can be used. So let's start with a simple example. I'd like to connect a heat pump which is connected to the Modbus as slave 3. So let's go. First of all, we have to log on to the system. This is the first time the system is used, so we have to register a user. I use test user with test password. Yeah. Okay, and now register and log on. And now, first step is to connect to the MQTT server. This server must be available and running. So for me, it's MQTT //home assistant.lan port 1004. User is Modbus2mqtt. Password is also Modbus2mqtt. So maybe you recognize it here. The icon switched to the green connected icon. That means the MQTT server is up and running. So the GitHub things are not necessary for this step. Now we save the changes and we come to the list of Modbus controllers. As a default, there is a controller named dev/tty/ecm0, and if the system was configured correctly, this device should also be available. So we click on it. Now we get a list of slaves. As this is a new system, there are no slaves. And as I already told, my heat pump is at slave 3. So go. Okay. And now you see the configuration or the specification for the heat pump is already known in the system. Maybe it is contributed by the community, or in this case I created the configuration on my own. However, all configurations can have a mechanism to detect themselves. As you can see here, the heat pump was recognized at slave 3 and is now already configured to be used. We don't need to do anything more here. We just can go to a Home Assistant at port 1000. And there you see already the heat pump. And we can go to Settings, Devices, and then we see here there's one device, and this is it. If there is no specification, the user can create an own one and test it very conveniently in the UI. The third video describes this, how it works. What do you need to configure a specification? First of all, the Modbus device must be attached to the Modbus controller. See the other documentation how this can be done. On the right side you see a picture. In this case there's a heat pump connected to its Modbus interface. The Modbus controller must be plugged into the smart home system or to the server where Modbus2mqtt is installed. You need a file with the documentation of all the Modbus addresses and their usage. And you need an image to make it easy for other users to identify your device. At last, you need a slave ID which can be configured, and for this water level transmitter the default slave ID is 1. That's it. How to create a new specification for this. First I have to create a new slave. The slave ID is 1. There's a water level transmitter attached. As you can see, there is no specification for a water level transmitter right now, but I can create one by pressing this add icon. So this is the screen to create specifications. And here on the left hand side we see first some things which should be solved. There's no documentation file, no image file, and no entity as of now. Let's start with the documentation file. We browse for some documentation file. This is the water level transmitter. And for an image file, this is this one. Okay, now we can see there's only one error message left. We go for it. This is an empty entity. We name it water level, and this is the MQTT ID. That's how it's. And this is an icon, which we can. I think there's an icon named MDDI. Arrow minus up minus collapse. That should maybe be an option. So for the Modbus address, the converter is a number. We expect a number. The water level is a number. It is some Modbus address. If I don't know where it is, I can look into the documentation, and there should be some table here. There are the supported commands. This is function code is for holding registers. At function code 4, there's a measure of the output value. Let's take this for the beginning. The value is 4. And as you can see, there's already a number coming from the Modbus device. And the only thing is left is this thumbs up and down could be improved. We could specify a data range from values from 1 to 10,000. It's this 916 means 916 millimeter from the ground. And by specifying a range, I will later enable the system to identify the device by its own. As you can see now here, there's a thumb up. This is what is the best. Okay, we still don't have an entity because we didn't add it. So we do that now. So add a specification. Name, water level transmitter. So I'd say that's it. And we just save it. And that's it. And we can go back to show buses and then to here. And here we see, okay, there's a water level transmitter.